What's going on, y'all? Hope you guys are having a great week. Um, Earlier this week, I posted a video about the latest Serato update that included a basic, extensive, I should say, retooling of all the effects in the software. And of course, the comments were a mixed bag because I put in the title that this is the biggest update to Serato since Stems, and I firmly believe it is, for the reason that, and I explained it in the video, that this update gives tools to beginner DJs that were gate kept from DJs that had more money or more access to higher end gear by providing them with effects that were on par, in my opinion, with effects that's only found at the highest level of gear, mostly hardware effects. And the backlash uh, saying that I was creating clickbait content and etc. and just saying like, oh, this isn't what we want. It didn't bother me in the way that, uh, you know, I know I wasn't clickbaiting, but it just made me think about what in this day and age, what are DJs really looking for as far as updates to the platforms that they're using? I think back to even 5, 10 years ago, actually, let's say 10 years ago, when Serato DJ was in its infancy, or when it was still Serato Scratch Live. I remember Serato Scratch Live and DJ Itch were the only two real DJ products that Serato had at the time. Itch being the software for DJ controllers, which were in their infancy, and Scratch Live being the DVS that you would use with either turntables, with vinyl, or you would use it with timecode CDs and CDJs. And when they made the switch to Serato DJ and kind of combined those two softwares into one, there was a lot of, I don't want this, just give me Serato Scratch Live, etc., etc. And that was a big sticking point for a few years. I will say DJs have a way of not really rolling with changes in technology and adapting to new technology. It's just been a symptom of DJ culture since the vinyl days. But even back then it was clear that what people were craving out of a feature that they'd want in Serato DJ is the stability. That was an issue with Serato DJ at the beginning because they were opening up the software to so many more devices, where back then the only things that used Serato Scratch Live were either 3 or 4 audio interfaces, the Serato boxes, and a couple of DJ mixers, right? Now they had to support all of the DJ controllers that were available for Serato Itch, as well as the incoming flood of controllers that we saw come after that. And I'm talking tons and tons and tons of controllers. And that's a lot of development, right? But given the time to kind of work the kinks out, and generationally as the software developed and the hardware kind of developed, we got the stability back, and Serato DJ was a solid platform. Now, me personally, I used Serato DJ from pretty much day one, even the beta. Never really looked back to using Scratch Live unless I was forced to because of gear. And I've always been that way. I always want to test the limits and look to see like what the newest features are in DJ software, and see, what the next horizon is as far as what could they add. And to me, like, now it's gotten to a point where DJ software has developed so far, it's hard to have like a big wow feature. For a few years, it felt like the DJ software kind of got dull a little bit as far as like new crazy features, and Stems has really been in the last few years the one major update that has changed like the paradigm of DJ software, right, or just DJing in general. It's something that we wished we had forever, being able to, just take certain elements out of the music, or, blend just certain elements. It really unlocked the freedom in DJing that we didn't have before. But now that that's here, I'm really curious what to see the next, you know, thing is going to be. One comment I had in that video was that they wish the Serato update had the kind of smart beat grids that DJ Pro 5 has, which, I'll admit, DJ Pro 5 is a fantastic app, fantastic DJ app. It's newer. It has a bunch. It was one of the first to have, stems way back when. And now with their updated algorithm for stems, it's one of the best sounding stems. But it just doesn't have the wide adoption that Serato and Rekordbox have. Much like the issue that other DJ softwares, or actually even hardware manufacturers, have, right? Where Pioneer is considered the industry standard because you can find it everywhere as far as like the biggest clubs and the biggest, lounges, bars, etc. You're probably gonna find Pioneer gear, and for good reason, right? They've built an ecosystem that works great, that people are familiar with, and that they've done it for a long enough time where people associate pro level DJing with Pioneer DJ. And it makes it hard for other people to break into that market. If you know me and the gear that I have here at home, that's a Rane Performer. I got some Denon SCs here. I'm a big in-music guy, mostly because I like the build quality of the Rane products, and I get to use the Pioneer products at most of my gigs, and I'm familiar with it. I don't need it at home currently. But that's a choice, right? For a lot of DJs out there that don't have the opportunity to play on the club standard stuff, and especially in This Was Me back in the day, having to bring your own gear out to the gig, having something that's not the standard is kind of frowned upon. If you're going to invest money, why not invest in a company that you're familiar with, that's going to have that kind of brand recognition, that if you're playing with other DJs, they're going to, be familiar with it. But when it comes to DJ software, if we're talking about industry standard, right? We have our huge monoliths in Serato and Pioneer with Rekordbox, and in some ways, Denon with Engine, and et cetera, et cetera. But they all pretty much function the same way, right? They all pretty much have the same kind of feature sets. Some specialize in others more than others, but it really begs the question, what are you looking for in your DJ software to get updated? I know for me, one thing that I love about using Rekordbox more and more now is the organization tools. I've done videos on it. I preach about it all the time, that as much as I love Serato, and as much as it's been my workhorse main DJ software for over a decade, the organization tools, as far as, crate management, as far as tagging, as far as like filtering, et cetera, they're lagging behind in that department, in my opinion, compared to Pioneer DJ with Rekordbox. And my solution was to combine the two, do all my tagging and all that in Rekordbox. I have the same files in Serato and all the metadata updates there, and I can, work in that way. But it forces me to work in two softwares. But now that I'm, DJing on both, doesn't matter as much. But for DJs that are just using one software, like I'd want to have those kind of tools in Serato. And I can see why for someone like that that's looking for those tools, an effects update doesn't really matter. Or if you have, a Pioneer S11 or a 900 Nexus 2 or something with nice hardware effects, these software effects updates don't matter. But that doesn't mean it doesn't matter for everyone, right? If I was just starting out as a DJ and all I had was, like a $200 Rev 1 or something like that, right? Like a cheap plastic beginner entry level controller, and you told me from a free update that I get all of these new tools that sound pretty much as good as the high end stuff, I would be so hyped. It would get me so inspired and so much more invested in that software to know that I got these updates for free and I was able to integrate this into building myself up as a DJ. Now, if you're a more experienced DJ or a DJ that doesn't really use software effects at all or has to use them, that might not matter as much. But then what are you looking for in a DJ software? Like at this point, I honestly, besides being able to manage my library better, I don't know what killer feature that I'm looking for in a piece of DJ software or hardware at this point. I'll say that, and I talked about it in my Rain Performer video, that the stem functionality on this and what you can do with it as far as like working with stems in so many different ways in comparison to working on another piece of gear, like this opens up possibilities hardware wise that's just not possible on like a CDJ and a 900 Nexus 2 setup, just because of the functionality that this has built into the hardware and the integration into the software. And I think for me, besides the library management stuff, I would want to see more of being able to bring features like the stem EQ from this or the stem effects from the FLX10, and finding a way to integrate it into other pieces of gear. I think that having the new software effects and giving channel effects or sound color effects, basically the same thing, and being able to bring it to so many more pieces of gear makes me think that maybe that's something that they're working on, they're developing. Maybe that's possible, because those were things that people with entry-level controllers were stuck with forever. All you got was filter. You didn't get a dub echo, you didn't get a noise, you didn't get any of those, but now it's all possible, right? And if it's software integrated with hardware, leads me to think that it's possible to bring like stem EQ to other pieces of gear, or if you're working with a 4-channel mixer maybe, or a 4-channel controller, having the stem split functionality, like things like that. Those excite me. It's something that I need to work on as far as working it into my workflow of DJing. I mean, I had a lot of fun when stems came out. It really made me sit down with my gear and made me excited to try out different blends and different combinations, and think of different ways to do transitions, and just kind of rewired my brain on how I DJ. It became a big part of how I DJ'd. And then when I moved to sticks for a lot of gigs, I had to kind of unlearn that and learn a different way of DJing, which got me excited again. And now, instead of having to work with stems or whatever the case is, now it's just like, okay, I understand the stems workflow and I understand how to use it in a lot of ways. I understand, playing on sticks and not having it, but still making my sets sound interesting and making them sound like me. Now it's just like, okay, chasing the next thing as far as learning a different way of DJing tech-wise, right? Like I said earlier, I was very early to adopting Serato DJ because I wanted to see the possibilities of what Serato DJ had to bring. One of the big features that Serato DJ brought that was not there in Serato Scratch Live was beat jump, and that's a huge part of the way I DJ now, right? And same thing, like always chasing that next thing, but staying comfortable and staying knowledgeable in the other ways of DJing is super important. Now, I will say I'm very interested in starting to use this or an iPad as the device to DJ from. Shout out to Laid Back Luke, who is going all in on that, especially with his new Reloop controller. Shout out to him. I don't know if I would use a controller like that. I'd really want this to be plug and play with like the industry standard setup, and I would rock with this. For it would, I think it would be like the best of both worlds of like the portability with sticks, but also the extra computing power of having a full DJ software in here. Like the DJ Pro 5 app on iPhone or iPad is really powerful. It's like on par with Serato in a lot of ways as far as DJ app, CPU power. Stems sound great. Everything, the beat grids are even better because there's like super flexible and they write themselves. But I just can't get this to work with a lot of gear that I gig with just because the gear's there. But hopefully one day that'll change and I'll have that as an option. I'm excited for that. That's what's exciting me as far as DJ app development's going. But I'm curious, what are your guys' thoughts and what are you looking for and looking forward to as far as DJ technology and things that you think you need or things that you think are missing in today's DJ software and hardware market? Leave that down in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. I'll be sure to read all the comments and respond to as many as I can. And as always, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you aren't already, subscribe. And if you're looking for more DJ related content, go ahead and click on one of the videos right here. And catch you guys in the next one.